Ah, yeah, baby. It is Monday. And if you've been following this channel for a while, you know what that means. Mailbag time. Yes, I'm answering your questions from the Discord server. And yeah, a lot of questions this week about Mr. Sinister. We got some questions about War Defense, the Asgardians, Black Bolt, Dark Dimension 3, and so much more. The questions are all over the place this week, guys. So if you guys are ready for all of that, see if your question made the list, you know what to do. Let's go smash it.
Valley flying.
What is up, Valley Maniacs? Valley Flying here, I am back. Welcome to the channel. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is Monday. It is time to answer your mailbag questions. A lot of questions this week about the Marauders, Mr. Sinister, Cable, so answering all of those. Talking about War Defense, talking about Black Bolt and Dark Dimension 3. A lot of other things to talk about, though. You guys have a lot of questions this week, and they are all over the map. Now, if you want to leave your question, make sure you are a part of the Discord server. There's a specific channel in there for just these mailbag questions that I try to answer during the week, but definitely try to get to as many of them as I can on Mondays for this video. So that is where to check it out if you're wondering where to leave your comments. Now, this video probably will be long. There's a lot of questions, so I'm going to try to keep the answer as short as possible this week. I apologize if your question needed a longer answer, but there's a lot of questions this week, guys. So let's get into them. And of course, if you do want to support the channel, there are a lot of ways to do that with the links down below. Valley merch, BlueStacks. You can check out my other channel. You can check out some of the other games I'm playing. But let's get into the questions. Boom. All right, guys, here is the first question. And I'm actually going to go through like the first 5 questions because I think the answer that I'm going to give to this question will be the same for all of these questions. So let me just go through a bunch of questions and then I will get to my answer for these first few. Hello, Valley Fine. First of all, kudos to you and all the great content you put out there week after week. Thank you, brother. Thank you for watching the channel. I was hoping you assist me with the best way to go forward with the Brotherhood team, divide them so that Sabretooth and Mystique go to the Marauders or keep them attacking as Shield. Coulson countered. Thanks. All right. Next question is very similar. So like I said, I'm just going to read through all of these and answer all these questions at once. Who would be the 5th member for the Marauders optimally? Where would you place the leftover owners of the leftovers of that team? She's having trouble reading. If you think Magneto would be the best way, what would you do with Juggy and Pyro? All right, I'm gonna answer them all at once, guys. Long time listener, first time question. With Sabretooth and Mystique being a Marauders team, which 2 characters would you replace them with on Brotherhood? Who's your preferred 5th for the Marauders? So yes, again, gonna get to this. What would 3 choices for the 5th Marauder be? Who are you putting the rest of the Brotherhood with afterwards? And I think we have one more here. Oh, we got 2 more actually. Great, well done at the great content. What's your opinion on the Marauder Brotherhood crossover? Are there some game modes where it's worth it to keep the OG Brotherhood together? And who's your 5th Marauder? Magneto seems to be an obvious choice if you're breaking up the Brotherhood anyway. Cable because he gets some mutant synergy if keeping Magneto on the Spider-Hood team. Anyone else? Utility tank because Strife seems a bit soft for a tank. I agree that he does, but one more and then we'll get to all these answers. What is the best 5th member for a Marauders team? So for the answer to all of these questions, guys, let's go in game right now. All right, so here we are in game and this is what I'm doing with my team. So my remnants of my Brotherhood turned into this Brotherverse or Spiderhood, whatever you want to call this team. Super fun team. Lots of bleeds and a lot of debuffs on the team being spread, especially by Venom and his ultimate. So this is a good team. I use this on Blitz and I'm actually using this on War. Haven't found a Coulson team that I've been brave enough to try against yet, just because, you know, it's locked in if you try that out for War. So still want to try this against Coulson. I think they can counter Coulson if you're punching down though. So that's who I'm using for War offense. Now for War defense, I'm using that full Marauders team, and this is what I have done with them. Now, as you can see, the power levels aren't ideal. Strife is a little far behind just because there's not a good way to get stars for him yet. But Kingpin is the 5th that I'm using right now. Shout out to Mobile Gamer, aka Trevor, for that recommendation. Used to have Merc Lieutenant in here, and I would find that he would die very soon. Even though Merc Lieutenant had a higher power level than Strife, Merc Lieutenant would seem to always die before Strife, but I think Kingpin works a little better on this team, and I use them on ward defense. And Kingpin, that is my 5th member that I'm using right now in this Marauders team. So that's what I am doing, guys. Let me know what you're doing with your Marauders and your Brotherhoods down in the comments, guys. All right, so next question, and this is a question from a couple days ago. Now that the update is tomorrow, Thor and Loki will be upgraded for ward defense. Who should I put them with? And Hela and the rest of the Asgardians until they come. So for this question, let's go back to the save squads as well, and I'll tell you what I'm doing with my Asgardians. All right, back in the game, guys, and my Asgardians are as followed. Loki, Thor, Hela, and Heimdall. And for the 5th, until Sif is out in the game, I have Merc Riot Guard there. He seems like a good 5th tank for a lot of these teams. You could throw him on. He gives defense up to the rest of the team, and he has that taunt. So I think he's a good kind of taunt for good tank for many teams. And this is what I'm using right now. We're using them primarily on ward defense, and they work really well in blitz as well. Next question, Valley Flying. Why do attacks like Punisher, bullets, and pyro flames come back and hurt them when they attack a thing? It makes sense when you punch the rock, but when you're hitting with weapons, I know, right? I don't know. Fox next. What is up with that? Next question, guys. What's up, brother? Shout out from Tennessee. Shout out from Texas, brother. What's your favorite single character kill animation? I love Ghost Rider's penance there. Hela's knives coming from the ground, but my favorite seems to be Namor Special, where the sea monster eats up the enemy yours. Now, normally I'm playing on 3x speed, so I don't see all of the kill animations, but the 2 that really stand out in my head are kind of old school. The Ant-Man animation where he gets real big and just throws the enemy off, and there's the Hulk animation where he just throws the enemy around. So those are my 2 favorite ones, but admittedly I play on 3x speed, so I don't see all of the kill animations. Next question, Valley Flying. I'm considering starting a YouTube channel for my gaming interests. I've just learned that the FTC has issued new guidelines that will impact monetizing efforts on YouTube channels, now effective January 1st, 2020. My question to you is, how are betas like yourself, Mobile Gamer Casino, Tony Bing, addressing the matter? What steps are you guys taking, as awesome as you all are with contents? See it not devalued, watered down, or deemed kids material and probably lost well-deserved sponsorships, anything jeopardized? Thanks for answering. So this is a complicated question, and I can't speak for any of the other content creators because I don't know what they're doing to prepare. This is a big issue right now, and it's causing me some stress with COPPA coming. Now, this channel never has been made for kids. I look at the demographics, and most of the people that watch this channel are like me. They're adults, they have kids, they have some disposable income. This is not a kid's game in my opinion, but lawmakers, they might look at that and see, hey, this is a Marvel game, kids are interested in Marvel. Oh, this is a channel about video games, maybe they're in this channel that could appeal to kids. But I'm being very cautious right now, and I hope nothing happens because this channel is not aimed towards kids, but I am taking some steps in the background to make sure that I'm protected as much as humanly possible. The law is very, very vague at this point, which is, I think, what's making this whole thing confusing. But COPPA, it's designed to protect kids, to protect their personal information, but I think the FTC is taking it a little too far by putting the burden on the individual creators. So I think I'm hoping that the FTC will listen to a lot of the concerns. I think all the concerns that they've heard previously have been all one-sided, but now with this new announcement, I think they're starting to hear other sides of the issue. So hopefully this will be resolved, and at least at the minimum get some clear language so we know what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. But yeah, I'm working on it right now. All right, next question. Not really a question, more of a statement, kind of a reaction to something I said yesterday, last mailbag video about Scientist Supreme Ultimate, how I'm now using it a lot. So let me just read this and then we'll move on. LJ Gunn says, watched your mailbag video yesterday. So this is about last week's mailbag video. You were talking how you don't use Scientist Supreme's Ultimate very much. That is the key to making Tech Wing so good, in my opinion. Now, you have to be aware of who you're facing and their ability turn, as if it's in Punisher or Miss Marvel or Rocket, or generally getting ready to AoE, you don't use it as much. But other times I use her ultimate, then use Falcon's special and flip all the debuffs. You won't be touched even after more Scientist Supreme's ultimates. I just want to let you know so that you can maybe tell people it's okay to use her ultimate. You can be aware and cautious of timing of use. That team, Scientist Supreme, has gotten me very far to her using her ultimate and giving me tons of buffs. That is a kick butt team, and that could do very well properly played, but you also need them to be 6 stars 3 to 7 red stars and gear 13 to do proper well. Don't be afraid to use it out. It will do better than you think. So thank you for that comment. And if there's other things that I am not paying attention to, guys, let me know in the comments or let me know in the Discord channel. But yes, Scientist Supreme, apparently it is good, but my Scientist Supreme is very low, not at the level that you're recommending there. So maybe that's why they're getting killed. And I probably do need to pay attention to buffs a little bit more. Next question, Valley Fine. What does Black Bolt look like? He's on a bad diet. He's probably on a very bad Inhumans diet is probably why. Next question, I was reading the passive on Yo-Yo. Do you think she will make a good pairing with a shield team with Coulson? Probably. They have some synergy with Quake and Coulson and other people in there, but I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait until we get the full kits of all these Inhumans, see exactly where they go, seeing where I'm gonna place these other characters before I do anything. But I think it will be a good team. But you know, when you're splitting up teams and making different teams, you're sacrificing one team being very strong for other teams being okay. So I think it will depend on the game mode. Our next question, my alliance can 100% Ultimate 6 fairly consistently. I was wondering how early I should start building a tech wing team. I'm still a ways from Ultron, but have all the other characters on the team. So unfortunately, Ultron, I think, is one of the more valuable members of the team. You know, there's a lot of good raid teams that work, but I think the common denominator in all of those teams are Ultron and Minerva. Now, the good thing with that team, Minerva will also be very good in Fear the Darkness. There's a couple of other characters that would be good, very, very good in Fear the Darkness, but you're probably going to want to build Star-Lord as well, just so you can unlock Ultron and build that full tech wing team. Next question. Do you think with the announcement of Dr. Doom as a possible villain for Black Panther 2, they're waiting for that? If it happens, to release him? It's possible. For me, I think of Dr. Doom more as a Fantastic Four character, and I think a lot of rumors of Dr. Doom coming to the game were more with the Fantastic Four rather than with Wakanda, but we will see what happens. Valley Vine, for a newer player, what's your recommended resource cap to building up teams for war and blitz purposes like gear, tier 9, 10, 11, ability levels, spread, such and such? I have 3 big teams, but I'm needing a wider roster. I want to build more effectively to help out my alliance in war. So I think at the bare minimum for a character to be usable, for me at least, they need to be at level 60 so you can get all their skills to 6. I think that is very, very important. And gear, get it up as high as you can to match the rest of your team. Normally around gear 10 or 11 is when a character starts becoming viable for me, but it's going to really depend on you and your roster where you need to build up that character. But for me, I want their power levels to be kind of similar so that I could also use that team in blitz and have them be a pretty good blitz team as well. Next question, out of 4 new characters, which ones is it most important to get the red stars for? I have 2 elite, 4 red star orbs. I want to know when to open them with a 10% drop rate. I think it's obvious a legendary character. You got to go for Black Bolt. But if you're talking about the previous update, we got to go with Mr. Sinister. So out of the last update and this update, I think those are the 2 most important characters out of the update for you to test your luck in with these red star orbs. Next question, with the Avengers tag given to so many characters, a lot of options when it comes to team composition, do you think Fox Next should add more than 5 characters for a tag so it isn't so repetitive from player to player? I think it would make the game more interesting. I think it would as well. The Kree kind of have that. They have a few different options to make a main team, and then I think you can make a backup team. Same thing with AIM, same thing with Avengers. So I like when they have more characters and you got to kind of choose that last spot, but yeah, I like it. I think it's good. Alifine, with his rework, how good is Ultimus now? He is pretty good. I haven't tested him firsthand, but I do like his kit just based on what I've seen on paper. And I think he will make that Kree team, depending what characters you put in, very good. I think he does need to be paired with Cyborg now that Cyborg also got his rework with Ultimus, but he looks like a pretty good character. Next question, you've talked about the passive bonuses that keep the same values as starting the fight as during. To be honest, it was confusing. Could you clarify whether or not killing an Asgardian will lower the team healing? Now, it is confusing, and that's because there's not really a lot of consistency. Haven't really looked at the data recently, but I know back in the day, there were passives that sometimes would keep triggered even if the character that had the passive was dead, and other times it would stop when the character dies. So I think it's a little confusing just because there's not a lot of consistency with it. And I think you're gonna have to look at each individual character to see which passives carry on with them still being alive and with them still if they are dead. So hopefully there's some consistency there soon. Can you explain what the fully function of critical damage means and how it works and its importance? So critical damage, as I understand it, is just an extra damage that you could do for a character. It's obviously going to be dependent on the crit chance of that character, which is different for each character. So it's just some extra damage that you could do as far as I understand it. And if you guys know anything different in the comments, let me know. Next question. Now that Thor and Loki have been reworked, which would you first take to T13? I suspect Thor, but my Loki is a little closer and more tempting. Thanks for the vids, man. Now, if you're just looking to build them for that Asgardian team, I really am a fan of Thor's passive and his extra damage that he does. So for me, if you're running in a full Asgardian team, my answer would be Thor. Now, if you're running Loki in some different squads or you have different uses, it might be Loki, but for me, it's gonna be Thor. Next question. Valley Fine, with 2 to 3 new characters being added almost every update, it seems like, do you think there's a possibility of seeing changes in the Blitz store since a lot of endgame / older players have those characters at 7 stars already? Love, thanks to content. Well, thank you for the question, brother. I think there's a possibility. I think it's very low though. For me, I have very low expectations of Fox Next and doing things in the player's interest, which is why every time it happens, I'm always so excited. Like with this previous patch, I think there's a lot of player-friendly mechanics in there, and I was happy with it. I'm not expecting it. And when they don't do anything, I think that's kind of the status quo. So that's kind of been my mindset for a while. So I don't ever expect anything good to happen, but you know, as long as I keep enjoying the game, I think that is the main thing. And if they do quality of life changes to make it better for players and easier for players, have more fun, then all the better. Next question. Obviously, we don't have any information on other Inhumans, but it appears that Inhumans will be a direct counter to Coulson, Shield in War. Black Bolt will prevent Coulson from being revived by a medic, but he also might be the one with the highest damage. New pattern. They're releasing a new war defense team and then an offensive counter to it. Yes, unfortunately, it does seem like a pattern, and that was their way to fix war. They didn't want all the full clears, and instead of changing the rooms, changing war a little bit, changing some buffs to rooms, they wanted to release defensive teams. And from a business standpoint, it does make sense because they can monetize new teams and they can't really monetize new features for a game mode. So that's kind of what they wanted to do. You know, it might be a trend. I mean, we're seeing a lot of defensive teams come up, the Marauders, the Asgardians, and we had Coulson. So more defensive teams, which I don't like because you don't ever really get to see the investment of building that character unless you're using it in other game modes. So it might be a pattern. I hope it's not, though. It's so unexciting. Next question. Newest player here, 2 months into game, 2 months into game. What do you think would be better for getting Enter the Darkness? Defenders or Guardians? Also, do you think would be good for Rocket in Enter Darkness, since it'll be a while before I could get into 6 stars? So I would say just in a vacuum, Guardians are better, but since you don't have Rocket, I would probably go Defenders first and get that game mode done and then go Guardians, or you could just wait. What you're getting from Enter the Darkness is a bunch of resources. I don't think it's as important as getting ults run. So if you want to get it done right now, go Defenders, because I think without Rocket, they're better than the Guardians. But if you want to play for more long-term, then wait for the Guardians and enter it whenever Rocket is ready. Next question. What game mode do you think Black Bolt will have the greatest impact on? 2 modes. I think he'll have a big impact in Arena, because I think a lot of people will be using him on Arena offense and maybe on Arena defense. But I think the other one, unfortunately, will be in the raids. I think that Fox Next will use Black Bolt a lot in raids and events, make it harder to clear content because you can't be reviving people with that Black Bolt kill. So those are the 2 modes that I think he's going to have the biggest impact. One cool, one not as cool. Next question. Valley Fine, with a new update to War Boost being able to place anywhere in a war room's lineup, have you noticed that when you check a war room's history that you can see which teams have been boosted already, even though they're not in spots which they have been able to attack? It kind of defeats the purpose of hiding a boost for the information of which teams are down the line in a war. So this was mentioned in the news video last week with Casino, and from what I hear, it is a bug, and hopefully they are working on it. It's something unintended, but yeah, right now it's kind of silly to boost those rooms in advance if you're trying to really hide what teams are there. Next question. When will the title of Apex Raid be returned to my Wakandans? Unfortunately, never. I don't think they ever will be the Apex raid team. Valley Flying, greetings from the White North. Watching everything you post on MSF. Thank you, brother. So I know they're not a meta team, but recently got my Merc Riot Guard to 7-star kind of. I just spent gold for that last boost. I really would like to use him, but figure it might throw people off a bit to see a supercharged Merc team in a war room. The people I was thinking of using: Deadpool, Bullseye, Kingpin, Merc Lieutenant, and Riot Guard. Would this be a good combination? Also, wouldn't it be cool if they added Taskmaster game with a mercenary tag? So the rumor is, I'm not sure if it's a rumor. I haven't done too much research on the Black Widow movie, but I think he's the main bad guy in that movie. So I think there's a good chance of him coming to the game. As far as that team that you mentioned on War Defense, they're not going to hold a lot. I think people could punch up a pretty big amount with some meta teams. But Merc Riot Guard, like I mentioned earlier, I think he's a good versatile character that you can kind of throw into incomplete teams like we kind of have right now with the Asgardians or the Marauders or another incomplete team. I think he's a good tank for any incomplete teams. But yeah, you could use him there. I don't think it's gonna hold too much on defense though. It does depend on who your opponents are though. So with that caveat, it might depending who you're going up against. Next question, Valley Flying. My question is, what is next? I'm an MSF veteran with all the good old metas. So what team should I be focused on? AIM, Wakanda, Inhuman, Asgardian, Fantastic Four, or Supernatural? What's best for the raids or war? So I guess let's just go through each of these teams one by one. AIM, they're very good for war defense. They're good for war offense as well, and good for the raids. So AIM is a good choice there. Wakandans, they're okay in the raids. They're not very good at war. So Wakandans wouldn't be my first priority. Inhumans, they are not complete yet, so that kind of is out of the question, but I think that would be a very good war attack team. Not sure what's going to happen with them in the raid since we don't know the full Asgardian team. Fantastic Four, awesome for war offense, awesome for offensive stuff. Not as good in the raids right now, although Invisible Woman by herself is very good in the raids. And Supernatural, very good for war offense, tricky on war defense, and decent in the raids if you have Ghost Rider and Elsa built up properly. So out of those choices, I would say Asgardians look the best on paper, although AIM and Supernatural are very, very close. But those are the top three. Next question, Valley Flying, longtime subscriber, keep up the great content. Thank you, brother. What do you feel is the most important for an alliance to attract members, or what methods of recruiting do you feel work best? So I am not very qualified to answer on this question. I have purposely tried to stay out of recruiting or anything to do with alliance leadership because I don't have time for that. So with that said, I'll tell you what I look for when I'm looking for alliance. I'm really looking to find a group that plays like me. You know, sometimes I'm a little more hardcore and I want to get in a real hardcore alliance because I have a lot of time. Currently right now, don't have a lot of extra time. So I'm in a group that still goes hard, but it's not as stressful being in that group. So that's what I'm looking for. Someone that kind of matches my play style. And I think that's kind of what you should do in your recruiting. But like I said, I don't really recruit, you know, so if you guys have other suggestions in there, please leave them in the comments. Next question. Thank you for all the great content. Thank you, brother. Especially love the collaborations with OMG and Casino. The question is, the Hela Greg mechanic working correctly? I had Thor and Loki die, but she does create another Greg. Interesting. Was there something I missed in her mechanics? There might be something not working correctly because she's only supposed to summon another Greg if Thor and Loki die on war defense. So could be a bug. I know that some people are using Mr. Sinister cloning a Hela, and with two Helas on the field, you're getting two Gregs on the field. So that's something that I'm thinking is going on there, but I'm not sure if there's a bug that's affecting other game modes. But I think she's only supposed to be reviving on war defense if Thor or Loki dies. Next question, Valley Flying. With people planning ahead for Dark Dimension 3, I've seen almost unanimous reasoning that Ultron, Minerva, and Scientist Supreme should be among the tunes that we bring up to T14. With the introduction of Black Bolt, do you think Fox next will play Black Bolt in every second node just to make those three tunes useless? I'd say there's a very good chance of that. That is my big fear with Black Bolt on the raids, but yeah, it's also going to apply to these Dark Dimension stages and putting him there just to kind of screw everybody over. But for me, I think Ultron and Minerva are definitely going to be worth it, but again, if Black Bolt's in almost all of those nodes, it's gonna be tough. So right now, I'm saving all the resources. I'm not getting anybody up to gear 14, building people slowly. And some of these characters like Ultra and Minerva, I think they're gonna have use in other game modes. So maybe, but yeah, I think the best thing would be to collect all the resources you can and just save them right now until we know a little bit more about the game mode. Next question: who would you put in a tech wing team while you're working through Fear of the Darkness? I want to build up and practice with a Ultima 7 team, currently working Fury Shield and BKT in Ultima 6. So BKT works very, very good in Ultima 6. If you want to try to practice with a tech wing team, maybe you could take out Ultron and put in Star-Lord, although it's not going to be the same team. You could use some energy to get Minerva's ultimate to go off more, to steal more energy, and you're not going to really see the results in Ultima 6 because the enemies have such low health and it's not going to do as much healing for your team. So I would say off the top of my head, Star-Lord, but if you guys know other characters that would work better in that team, let me know in the comments, guys. Next question: has anybody tried tech wing for Fear of the Darkness? I know Ultron is very big key. Is there a possible replacement to make him the viable choice you see for it, so you can get a better return on investment investing in characters that'll give you better longevity, since it's a solid Ultima 7 team? So if you're looking for a replacement, I think you need to have Star-Lord in there. Star-Lord Minerva combo in Fear of the Darkness is huge. So if you're looking to replace someone just specifically for Fear of the Darkness, I would go with Star-Lord in that spot. Next question: I recently looked at the strongest team leaderboard. I was wondering how many players are active. Is the dev team willing to share that metric? No, they're not. They don't share any of the numbers with us. As far as I know, they don't share any numbers with us. If not, what is your best Hulk Smash educated guess? Oh my goodness, I have seen so many numbers all over the place. I've seen like there's 10 million players. I've seen there's a few 100,000 players. I know when we look at the Blitz, it looks like there's a few 100,000 players that are playing that mode seriously. So I don't know. The numbers are all over the place, guys. If you have a guess or a way to look this up accurately, again, let me know in the comments down below. Next question: big smash from good old Germany. Thanks for all the awesome job you're doing. Thank you, brother. All the way from Texas to Germany. What do you think of a few new features we've been discussing in our alliance? Friendly test matches, maybe for alliance tournaments in your alliance. I would love that. Live view alliance war matches. I don't think this is something I would use a lot. I know the community has been wanting this, and I might be using it sometimes. So it would be a interesting thing for me, but I think the community would really want that. Trade shop for material. Trade 10 items for like one of the same rarity in the shop to get faster. Or trade your alliance gets some kind of pay taxes, extra gold material, or trade 10 blue material for 1 purple material, or something like that. So I would really like that. I think they'd be very player friendly. Haven't heard anything about that, so I would be pleasantly surprised if that came up soon. But I think all these ideas are good. I would like all of them. Next question: Valleyfine, I'd like the tip you gave about using Storm Charge Special right after Dark Phoenix Summit. It's a really nice move. Any more specific tips like that you could think of? I was trying to think of a bunch when I saw this question. Nothing really came to my head except on War. If you're facing an Ultron team on War, I think a lot of people are forgetting when you're using power armor, it's best to have that team boosted. So I know like my alliance doesn't always boost the Ultron team just to make it not as easily countered by power armor. But yeah, if you're using power armor or War offense, look for an Ultron team that has a boost and that's within your punch up range. But boosted teams make it much more easier to counter that Ultron team. Next question: greetings from Latvia, man, all over the world on this mailbag channel, guys. Thank you for watching. I'm very excited about Thor and Loki rework, but I want to ask about Thor's passive. I use Thor, Loki, and Hela in one team at Blitz raids, fun team in raids. But when I look at when I am hit, but for example, Rocket's ultimate or some AoE, when both Hela and Loki get hit at the same time, Thor is only getting 1 charge. Shouldn't I get 2 charges? I might be reading something wrong with his passive. Want to clear that. So if you read the actual wording on the passive, you should be getting 2 charges for that, for hitting Loki and Thor. But it looks like it's only 1 charge on Thor per move. So I'm not sure. I've heard there's a little bug. So I'm not sure if that's what was intended and the wording is wrong, or the wording is correct and it's a little bug. I still have to get some clarification on it. But yeah, it's not exactly wording. It's not exactly working how the wording is in the game right now. Next question: Valley Flying, how's it going, man? It is going good. How are you doing, man? Quick question regarding M'Baku's kit. In his special, it says gain 1 to 2 charges to a maximum of 5, but is that even possible to get 5 charges with him at the moment? I don't think so. I haven't seen it. I'm sure it's possible if you set up some scenario with him and Shuri giving him charges and make sure that he's not blocking, because he's going to lose a charge every time he blocks. So I'm sure there's some strange scenario that he can, but as far as normal gameplay, I have not seen it. M'Baku's kit has always been a little weird. And even with that, I still pity the fool that does not have M'Baku. Next part of the question. Also, do you think knowing about ISO 8 that mods will make the Wakandans even more viable? I don't know. I've seen some stuff about ISO 8 on the test server, but that was a long time ago. There's been a lot of feedback since then, so I don't know what, if anything, that I've seen will end up being in the game. But yeah, M'Baku, not the best character right now. Our next question, actually 2 questions from the same user. Does Falcon Special do anything if the enemy has no buffs? Yes, it does give them some speed. It just gives them more speed if the enemy does have buffs. And next question is, I believe there was a data mine regarding a Marauders milestone event where you get rewarded from powering them up. Any word on that? There is no word on that. Again, with data mines, they're all subject to change or just get canceled. So some of the times we see these and they're like, oh, this is coming to the game because it's in the data mine. Other times we just see them in a data mine and never hear about it again. Not sure what's happening with this. It may be something that they're going to do closer to the end of the year, but it may be something that gets scrapped. So I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine on this one. Next question. Have we seen the rewards for each node in Dark Dimension 3? Could they possibly make each stage in Dark Dimension 3 easier sooner with the gear needed to get to gear 14? So I have not seen anything about any of the rewards, which is why I am holding off with gearing up a lot of my characters, even to gear 13 right now, because I want to save as much of the orange materials as possible. So yeah, if you guys have heard anything different or have any more inside information, do let me know in the comments, guys. But I haven't heard anything about rewards for Dark Dimension 3. Next question. Wonder if it's worth splitting up my Fury Coulson team into a Coulson, Quake, Hawkeye, Shield Medic, and Captain America, while also running the origin of Fury plus Shield minions and use both for ward defense. Thoughts? No, don't do that. Use your Fury, Coulson, Shield team on ward defense. And if you want to use the other one, use them on a different team. It's better to, I think, on war, and this is my opinion, but I think it's better to make one strong team and one okay team, because that strong team is going to eat up more offensive teams that you're going up against. But yeah, use the Coulson Fury Shield team the right way, and you could split them up in Blitz at other game modes. But for war, especially for war defense, use them together because they're beasts. Next question. Valley Final is wondering if MSF would include 60 frames per second on mobile version in the future. It looked fantastic on Pandora Rising. Not sure. I hope they do. I know on BlueStacks I can play MSF on 60 frames per second. I haven't been able to do it on mobile. Not sure if that's a issue with the phone or an issue with the MSF side. So hopefully, but yeah, my answer is I have no idea. Next question, Valley Climb. I'm gonna unlock Invisible Woman this time around. Have a lot of resources to upgrade her enough to be viable in Arena and Ultimate 7. The problem is most of the rest of my Fantastic Four is severely lacking in stars abilities. Do you have any teams in the meantime you could recommend for plug and play? See how, as I don't want to wasting in the bench in War and Blitz. So right now, my Fantastic Four isn't built up a lot, but I do have Invisible Woman built up pretty okay, and the team still does very good in Alliance War, still does very good in Blitz. And let's go into the game world right now. I'll show you where my team is, because if you have a similar team, then maybe it'll still be viable for you. All right, so this is my Fantastic Four team right now. Invisible Woman is almost at 60k, and she was there for a while. These guys have been moving up slowly. They were in the 30s when she was almost 60. Still did very good in War, still did very good in Blitz. I think it is very important, though, not as much as stars, but to at least get their abilities maxed out. So you need to get them all at least to level 60 and get their abilities to 6664. I have T4s on a lot of Invisible Woman stuff, and I have T4s on Johnny Storm's passive to give the whole team a little bit more damage. So they're still viable. I'm not sure if you need to split them up. I think you can still run Invisible Woman. I think she's strong enough to make, and the rest of the team is strong enough to make up for it. But I would try as best as possible to get their levels similar. But if not, don't worry, because they still work good. Our next question, Valleyflying, what do you think about an idea about having levels for red stars? Let's say after each orb opening, a player will get some experience and the level bar will start to fill. After a player will get to level 5, you get a minimum of 2 stars, level 10, minimum of 3, etc., etc. I would love this. Any kind of changes to make these red stars more of a skill or a time-based thing rather than just a pure luck thing, I think would be very, very good. Right now, it's just pure luck. Nothing to do with how long you've been playing, nothing to do with skill and choosing which character that you want to put these red stars on. So any kind of change, I think I would be very much in favor of. Next question, Valleyflying. I've been watching your videos with Casino and Mobile Gamer, and my question refers to your conversation about Black Bolt. You guys have been talking about how Black Bolt is a direct counter to summoners and revivers like Ultron and Minerva, but wouldn't that also make him a counter to Phoenix since Dark Phoenix is a summon? If that's the case, it would also mean Black Bolt killed Phoenix. She would never turn into Dark Phoenix. So that's not true. If Black Bolt kills Phoenix, Dark Phoenix is considered a summon, so she would still come up and be able to do damage. Now, what Black Bolt does to summoners is he puts Disrupted on them so they can't gain any buffs. That's why he's such a huge counter to Ultron, because if he can't get his buffs on him, he's not getting his cooldowns, and his cooldowns aren't there, so he can't summon more. And it's just this big loop that turns Ultron very, very bad very, very quickly if he can't get those summons on the field. That's why he's such a big counter to Ultron. And not being able to revive, yes, that is a direct counter to Minerva. So yeah, would counter Ultron, would counter Minerva, but not counter Phoenix right now. All right, next question. Valleyflying, loving the Asgardians team, the ones I have at the moment. What are the priority T4s with Thor, Loki, and Hela? Well, right off the top of my head, Loki, there's nothing that really stands out to me. Thor, I think his passive looks really good, gives him extra damage, gives him more damage on his big AoE attack when he's doing that kind of counter attack that he has. His ultimate also looks very good, 50% more damage to every single target because it's a big AoE attack. Plus, he's getting a 10% extra chance to apply stun to all the additional enemies. So I think those two look very good. And then, of course, Hela's ultimate, that looks crazy, spreading not just 2, but 4 debuffs on the team. So I think those two are going to be the ones that I'm looking at first. Next question, Valleyflying. Hope you're doing great. I hope you're doing great too, brother. My question is this. I don't have Phoenix or Ultron yet. What are your 5 main teams for war defense, if you don't mind sharing? Keep it real. All right, so let's go back to my save squads for this one, guys. I'll tell you which ones I'm using on war, on offense, and defense. All right, guys, so here we are looking at my save squads, and I'll just run down them and tell you which ones I'm running on offense, defense. BKT, this is a defensive team. Ultron is a defensive team. Shield, I have Medic and Coulson in here, and this is a defensive team, and Trooper and Operative are out. X-Men is an offensive team. Wakanda can go either way. They're not super good at either one. They can't punch up a ton, and you can punch up against them. Brotherhood, this is my brother Spiderhood team that I'm using right now. They're an offensive team. The Hero Brawlers are a defensive team, or an offensive team, although Captain Marvel goes on defense with the shield that is coming up. Power Armor is pure offense. This is a team that gets mixed up a little. I take Coulson, Medic, put them in that shield team. Captain Marvel comes in here, and along with a 5th that rotates every so often. Defenders are an offensive team right now. Fantastic Four is an offensive team. Marauders, they are a defensive team with Kingpin as the 5th. Supernatural is an offensive team. They could punch up pretty good. Asgardians, or the partial Asgardians, are a defensive team as well. AIM is very good on both right now. I'm using them on defense. Kree can be very good on both if you build them up. Only 167, so I'm using them on offense. And Sinister 6 is a defensive team. The rest of my save squads are pretty much just fodder that I'm using for really low-level teams, punching down a lot with these teams right now. And that is what I'm using for offense and defense on war right now, guys. Next question, Valleyflying. I just pulled a 6 red star Winter Soldier. Should I build them up? If you have a good team that you're using him in, yeah, but if you don't really have a good team for him, like I don't, I probably wouldn't build him, so I wouldn't really recommend building him right now unless you have a specific team that you're using him in. Next question, Valleyflying, do you think that Foxnext will eventually make a menu where we can view our gear pieces that we already got to make it easier for us to know when we need to farm for your next after getting specific gear? So they don't have anything specifically, but let's go back into the game. I'll show you how to look for this stuff. All right, so here we are back in game. And as far as for purple gear, let me just go in here and look at it. So if we go to the check out what is in there, if you want to see how many AB advanced armor catalysts, I have 232. You could click on this one to see how many ABCs I have. That is 64. For the advanced damage catalyst, I have 61. So you can kind of go through your stuff one by one. I know it's not a specific menu where you could do that, but you can look up all your resources in the game. You could do that for your orange gear as well, and there may be a place to do that with blue gear. Yeah, right here with your blue gear as well. So you could kind of do that, but it's not specifically made for that. All right, and last question, Valley Flying, with what seems to be a never-ending influx of new characters, do you believe that more resources and overall percentage needs to be given, especially gold? I believe this would be essential to new or mid-level players. So I would like to see more catch-up mechanics for new and mid-level players to help them get to end game a lot quicker. As far as more resources, do I think they need to be given? No. Would I want to be as a player? Yes, but I don't think they need to be given. I think with this hero collector type of game, there's always going to be a shortage of resources. That's kind of the purpose of it, to have you constantly go on that chase to get these resources. And if there were a lot more, easier for us, I don't think the chase wouldn't be as there. And at least for me, I know the chase of getting these characters maxed out is kind of the fun. So I don't think they'll ever do that. Maybe they'll increase it a little bit, but never to the point of being able to max out your entire roster, because it's kind of the point of this game. And that is it, guys. I hope you guys liked the video this week. I hope your questions got answered. If it did not, make sure you're a member of the Discord server and go to that channel. Leave your question there. If you tag me, I definitely will look at it, and hopefully it will be featured in one of these videos. Now, if you guys like this video, please subscribe to the channel and share this with your friends. It helps to grow the channel. I put out at least 4 videos a week on this channel and 2 a week on my other channel, Valley Flying 76. And if you haven't checked that out, there's a link for that as well. There's also a link for the other game I play and cover on my second channel, Valley Flying 76, the game Dragon Champions. If you want to check that game out, very, very fun. The channel does get credit. It gets compensated if you use that link and install that game on your mobile device. So with all that said, there's some other links that support the channel, but I will see you guys next time, and make sure you guys check me out on social media. Hulk fist bump, baby. Valley Flying out.